Today I'm going to run through, quickly I hope, the building of 3 different gliders. One of them is the FPG9. The other one is the Plank, and the other one is the Dart. These are all made out of this kind of foam. These 2 are made out of this kind of foam, and I have examples of the Dart here. There's the Dart. Well, 2 of them. This is not the right way to do that. Here's an example of the FPG9, the flat plate glider 9. So, all right, let's start with this one first. I haven't done this yet, so let's. I think it's pretty simple. You've got to start with a flat plate. I'm sorry, not flat plate glider, foam plate glider. Alright, I figured out a better way, a good way to do it. Actually, I didn't figure it out, someone else did. It was on the AMA video. So, we'll instead distribute plates already with these traced out on them, because I'll have one template. And so, you'll get this, and I'll show you how you cut it out. The fin vertical stabilizer gets cut off just like that. I didn't cut that very straight, but I don't think it's going to matter. And this can be, you don't have to cut it perfectly. Actually, I'll put a little more area on there, or you can cut it along the lines on the fin. That is not that important. This line is important that you, actually let's cut it normal there. Now you put a little bit of a gap, a slight gap, maybe 1 millimeter, 2 millimeters, so it'll fit in with the width of what it's going on to. These don't require as much, this is just the rudder. Does not require a gap. And I'll shake that off like that. There you go, that's the rudder. You can bend that. Alright, and this rudder is going to go in there. Actually, we'll get to that in a second. Here we go. There's the rudder. Vertical stabilizer on rudder, rather. And let's cut out the front. Don't cut it off. Don't cut it off completely near the nose, because you'll need this little tab. You know what, if you cut the tab off, it won't matter, because you can just use a piece of tape to hold on the penny, but it'll help. It's a nice little way of holding on the penny. Alright, these are just slits. These are the ailerons, aileron elevators, so you just snip them. This is a slot, slit versus slot, okay, which will require a little bit of width to it. So it'll take the rudder, vertical stabilizer and rudder assembly, so it needs to have a little bit of width for the foam. And that goes in like that. And now you'll notice this thing is a little bit curved, so you might want to flatten it out a little bit. And then that way you can use your rudder like that. And so this, I actually made the slot a little bit wide, so it's flopping a little bit. So I'm going to hold it with a little bit of tape. Tape. A little bit of tape. And let's see. That's because I made it a little bit too loose. If you make your slot a little bit narrower, then you won't have to do this. Okay. And then the penny goes here. Now, that's a little bit too far forward, that rudder, I think. Needs to be further back, but There's a better way. There's got to be a better way. I did that wrong, I think. Oh well. I think it'll still fly. This thing flies without a rudder, without a vertical stabilizer. You know what? Let's fix that. That rudder needs to be back a little bit further. That stabilizer needs to be back a little bit further. And it also tilted up a little bit more. So let's try it. There's my tape, not a very good tape job, but illustrates the point. Gets the rudder back a little bit further. Alright. Alright. If you slice it, make the slot a little bit narrower than I did, you won't have to face that problem. And something to hold the penny in. Penny needs to be held on all three sides, I've discovered. Otherwise it'll slide out, so it needs to be taped on all three sides. There we go, that should do it. I'll fix the rudder in the template so it doesn't come out like this, so it comes out a little bit better. Now let's talk about these two blue foam gliders, the plank and the dart. I haven't made any of the planks yet, so I'm going to show you how to make the dart first, and then I'll show you. There's only one trick that's different with the plank, and that is that this isn't the full pattern, and you'll have to flip it over. But I'll get to that in a minute. Okay, so let's talk about the dart. Let's give some credit where it's due. Designed by Brooklyn Aerodrome, and I had this paper, the design, and I made up a full-size sheet that it should be, hopefully, easy just to stick down on the piece of foam and trace it out, and then cut it out. And so there's no measuring, and it should go fast. Okay, here are a couple of darts that have been made. This is done better. The rudder's done better here. The rudder's not done well here. But the elevators here are done well because I made them with the metal tape, which holds the position, which is nice. That's a new technology. That's hinge technology. Metal tape hinge technology. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I have this part here, this piece here, and I'm going to go get the blue foam. I have a big sheet of blue foam here, and we have plenty of this stuff. It's awesome. Let me break off a piece of it just to show you what it's made out of. You'll notice that's red tape. That's supposed to be there. You will notice that it has blue. It's made of blue foam in the middle. It has a thin sheet, very thin layer of plastic on each side. We're going to take advantage of that when we make the hinges, but it's something you should know about. There it is on the other side. Sometimes you might want to remove that bit to make something glue a little bit better. Okay, now I noticed on this version it was made out of some foam which does not appear to have the thin sheet on the other side. So you may have that thin sheet of plastic only on one side, depending on what kind of foam is bought. And if you do, that will affect what side you cut your hinges on. This appears to only have it on one side. What am I doing? There it is. There it is. And I can't seem to see it on the other side. Maybe it was pulled off or something. I don't know. No, it shouldn't have been because the printing's still on there. Yeah. Anyway, so it might have the thin sheet on one side, and when you make your hinge, you'll want to cut it on the side which doesn't have the thin sheet, because you're going to be using the thin sheet as your hinge. So that's just a heads up on that one. Let's see if we can do this. I've never done this before. I've just invented this process of making making it with these sheets. So we'll see how it goes. Alright, pretend this is blue foam, okay, because I ran out of blue foam. So I'm going to show you how we're going to do this using these templates that I made, one for the dart and one for the plank. And so basically I put little notches to mark particular points on the different templates, and holes to mark the CG, and a hole there to mark the extent for the slice to make. So let me show you how to make it with the dart. Okay, we'll make use of a pre-existing straight edge and line it up against that straight edge, and all we'll do is come through with a pointed object. The point of a pen will even do the trick, and score along there. Actually, score along there too. And on the same as on the other side. Now, then somebody will make a mark with a pen, if I can find a pen. That's not mark. Alright, I use this fat Sharpie here. Make a mark where, kind of as accurately as possible, where those notches are. And, well, that's where the front is. And where this notch is in the middle, in the back. And where this notch is. And good, that'll be a little more accurate. And then, I hope this works because I haven't tried it yet. Take the pen, push through to mark where the CG is going to be, and move around a little bit so it'll make its own special little hole so you can distinguish it from all these other holes. And push the pin in to mark where the upper limit of the rear slot will be for it to hold the vertical fin. Move it around a little bit, then remove it and see if it shows. Yeah, it does show. Okay, good. So that's where the pinhole is for the slot. And there's the pinhole for the CG. And we'll mark that CG nicely with a CG symbol, which seems to be used as the CG symbol, which is kind of neat. There's a CG symbol. And then there's the notch in the back. We'll draw a line with probably with a better, finer marker than this. We'll take a straight edge and draw straight edge. Okay, here's a straight edge. We'll draw carefully from this rear notch to the front, and that should go through the CG point in this other marker, other hole there. And we'll draw that line. And if you want to continue draw another line up there, that's okay too. But we know this is the line where we're going to make the slot later. So that's a quicker way of getting the basics done. Oh yeah, and then what we'll do is but that's a kind of a quick way of making that shape using the template, and I hope that makes things go faster. I can come along on each team's piece of foam, come along here, set it down, and go zip, 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 and have it marked, and then you can cut it out yourself. And I'll also pass out these full-size diagrams. Okay, so that's that. It's done for the plank in a similar way. So this is very similar to the dart, and that's how we'll cut out the basic shapes. And there we go. Now what we'll do is I'll go to the blue foam again because I'm editing this backwards and show how to finish off the basic shape. Once we cut it out in blue foam, how to make the hinges, how to make the hinges, and how to make it sanded so it moves like that, and how to set it all up right. Okay. CG. Alright, so the key thing was the scoring just with a pen. It's not even necessary to use a blade. It's amazing with this stuff. Score the surface with the pen and break it off. Break it off. Break it off. And then when you get to the back, you can just break the film, break it off. There we go. Now we want to carefully draw the center line again and the hinge line. Straight edge. Now with the center line, you don't push too hard with a pen. Just making an ink mark. Unless later you want to use it to score it, to put some dihedral angle in this thing. And hinge line. Going to draw the hinge line. Now, the hinge line is something that you will want to score. The hinge line goes. Huh. I didn't mark that very well. Thought I had. I marked it on the other side. So I'm going to have to remark the hinge lines. It's this far up. And there. Alright. Get our straight edge. Now these. Yeah, I would say score it with the pen because it's easier. Score it with the pen. Break that layer. And go a little bit deep. Just don't go to the other side of the film. Don't break the other film, and break it off. But break it, but don't break it off. Okay, good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to reinforce the hinge line with our tape, our metal tape. Let me mark the about the middle, so I know where it is. And this will take a few pieces of tape. I'll do this 4 times. Reinforcing the hinge line with the metal tape. It's a little wide there, a little extra tape. That'll change the left and right CG a little bit. Get a little more weight on one side, although not so much that it couldn't be compensated easily with the aerodynamic control power coming from the aileron elevators. Okay, there we go. Now it stays nicely in position where you put it, but it doesn't go up in this direction, so we need to shave off this material to make room for it. And like last time, we'll hold this angle at about 60 degrees or more. Okay, I'll make a little bit more. Hold that angle about 70, 80 degrees. And this is where the sanding comes in. And if I can find my sanding block, there it is. Now, personally, I like to, maybe a scissors will remove some of that material more quickly. Yeah, look at that. That might be useful to remove some of the material initially with the scissors, but not necessary. I usually like to use a razor blade. Scrap is good for making rudders and other parts of it, so keep your scrap. Alright. I like to remove some of the material quickly with a razor blade, being careful not to get down to the hinge line. That isn't strictly necessary, and if you want to save some risk of using a blade, then you can just use the technique of just sanding it. Trying to sand it down to the where I clearly see the film and or the metal hinge material. I sanded it a little too far there. And one of the good reasons you put the metal hinge on first is because it's harder to sand through it. Okay, now that bends up, not quite as far as I would like it to, so I'm going to sand a little bit more. Holding it more of a 90-degree angle, maybe. So I'll go a little further. Anyway, you've got to remove the material that gets in the way. It keeps it from bending. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good. That stays up the way I like it. All right. Now let's split the ailerons. The two ailerons. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to put a little gap. There you go. Little gap there. I'll keep them from interfering with each other. Now, here's where you do need a blade. And you're cutting a slot for the vertical fin. Vertical fin is another word for a vertical stabilizer. Sometimes it's just called a fin or a vertical fin. And straight edge. Again, we want to make sure that we don't misalign it this way, and we're cutting straight down the line. There's the mark I made with the pin. And when we cut it, make sure that we do it straight up and down, not at an angle, so that the fin will be straight up and down. And we'll cut through. We don't have to cut through the first time. Get an idea of what we're doing the first time, then go a little bit deeper the next time. And then all the way through. Now, I made a mark just now in the thing that I was cutting against, so be careful about that. Now the vertical fin can go in there nicely. And you'll notice that it isn't lined up perfectly, because I didn't line up my blade perfectly, so I'm going to bend it a little bit. There we go. Alright, so now we have almost everything. We just need to balance it. These are working. This is in. We need to balance it at the CG there. I'm going to mark the CG a little bit better. Do it in the classic way of that funny symbol. And I discovered earlier when I did it when the camera was off, that it requires a little more weight than the single washer. In fact, I aligned 4 pennies along the leading edge And let's see, the 4 pennies in addition to the washer. Let's see. Still not quite right. I think I need another penny. See how that does. The proof will be in how it flies. I think that's about right. So now we have the plank. We have the plank built, hopefully quickly, using the pattern that will be provided. And since you know the things I did wrong and the things that I did right, you'll be prepared to be able to build this a little bit more quickly than you would have otherwise, I think. So there you go. There it is. There's the plank. I'm going to go downstairs and see how well this flies. Alright, I tested it a little bit in my kitchen with 2 short test flights, and well, it's pretty good, and requires a lot of reflex to keep that nose up. Maybe I can take a penny off of the nose. That way it wouldn't require as much up elevator to keep the nose up. But at the same time, it moves the CG back, which means it puts more surface area in front of the center of gravity, which makes it less stable. So I don't know. I don't know how far back we can get the CG to go and still make it fly right. So we can experiment with that. The plank